Alright, this is the last time. This is supposedly the last thing I want to talk about in Husserl's Phenomenology of Internal Time Consciousness. This book is just, I really like it. It changes my whole idea of time in how I think about it. You know how we have our own schematics inside our head about how we think about things in our perspective. This caused me to open everything up and look at, just change everything about how I perceive time. Well, I wouldn't go that far, but it made me think, like, if I hear music or something that just makes me think differently. But in this video, I want to talk about retentions and recollection. I want to talk about retentions more, and of what they have to do with primal impression, and I want to talk about recollections in the protensions that they have. Let's first talk about retentions. I was talking about earlier in the first video where I just gave you a huge taste of this whole thing. I was talking about that I did a little discussion. I did a tiny remark on the retentionist proper intentionality. So let's just say right here that retention is extension of the primal impression. This is not. It's just it merely being there of the consciousness. It is not. It's the sound is still there from the primal impression. It is still sense, but a mere reverberation. And furthermore, this is consciousness of what has just been. So this is how it is intentional. And then here, it's just somewhat like an echo. Naturally, we cannot deny that echoes exist, but where we recognize and distinguish them, we are soon able to establish that they do not belong to retention as such, but to perception. So, it's something like that. Like each retention has its own continuum. Retentions are intentional. Because of this, they're mere extensions of the primal impression. So I wanted to discuss a little bit more about how this is intentional. And I wanted to discuss now. Just wanted to show how relatively on hand, and how there it still is after a primal impression, about how this retention is there. But now I want to talk about recollections and how this secondary remembrance is different from this, and the process of how you bring up a retention is different from how you bring up a recollection, where if you bring up a retention, you really don't have to bring it up that much. You have to, where if you want to bring up a recollection, that's bringing up a whole past event, where this is still relatively fresh in your mind. Now I want to talk about recollections in respect to the protensions that they have. If I could find the section where Husserl talks about it. Here we go. Protension in recollection. In order now to understand the disposition of this constituted unity of lived experience, memory, in the undivided stream of lived experience, the following must be taken into account. Every act of memory contains intentions of expectation whose fulfillment leads to the present. So, a protension is expectation. It's, a recollection is a secondary remembrance because it's recorded of what happened. It's records of what happened. This is not fresh in your mind. This is, this has been there long enough so that there can be protensions in this. So this understanding protensions is helpful in understanding how they're of what the nature of a recollection is. Now, a protension is best defined. A protension is expectation of the future, and it is fulfilled. Its fulfillment leads to the present. It is fulfilled. Its fulfillment leads to the present. So, if that can be understood, I think these things help understand what the remembrances are beyond the primal impressions. So, I hope that this is a good explanation of these things. I might go further. I might discuss more about this actual book, but because there's a lot more in it. There's stuff about Brentano in it, as you know. I've looked at the actual book, and there's a lot of stuff about Brentano in it. But this is the main points. So I may or may not post further about this book. So anyway, there you have it.